Happy Friday, guys. My name is Presley. I'm with Perry Homes, and I am here with my good friend Lisa, who is always a joy to be with. As you can see why. She's very pleasant, very funny, very sincere. She's laughing because she doesn't fully know why she's here. I told her.
Didn't realize it was Friday today.
Oh, she didn't realize it was Friday. So obviously we pre-record this. What's today, Wednesday? I think today's Wednesday, so we're pre-recording this as I do all of my videos because, wow, to get everything right. How long did it take me to set up? Maybe 10 minutes? It takes a few seconds to set this up.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, today's Friday. Okay. So whatever you're thinking today is Friday. So happy Friday. So the reason why I brought you here is because Lisa has an amazing backstory on how you got to where you are now. And honestly, she's just really humble. I'm sorry, she's really humble. Yeah, that's gonna get a lot of people listening. She's really humble about her beginnings, and she's very nonchalant about it, but do you realize how much your story impacts people?
Sometimes.
Okay, how many people have cried after you told them your story, what you've been through?
Why don't I try to make people cry?
Yeah.
Well,
neither does Oprah, but
I know some people, when they hear the story, they're like, oh my gosh, that's nuts. And it makes them feel like they need to do a little bit more. It's kind of like motivational.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, you made me feel real bad. I was like, I'm not hustling hard enough.
Well, it just depends on what part of my life, you heard about.
Right, so let's start about, let's start when you were 2 years old.
2 years old?
That's too early? Okay, we can fast forward. Let's fast forward to, where do you feel most comfortable starting?
Well, it depends. I started off as a baby, and now I'm a big human.
You're a big girl. Okay.
Yeah. But I feel like I'm 10.
You feel like 10.
Babysitting.
But you give that energy off.
Little kids.
You give that energy off. It's a really good positive energy. Hold on, and let me stop there. So one of the reasons, actually I feel selfish for saying this, but one of the reasons Lisa is I consider a good friend. I don't even know if I told you that, but she's a good friend. If she lets you in, you did a good job. Whenever I call her, she is there, and I'm like, I know a lot of agents, and I know everybody is busy. I know every agent that I call is busy, so I don't hold it against anyone. But when I say, Lisa, I need some help, or I have a friend who needs some help, she's like, is it gonna be food there? I'll come, but it has to be food there. And she comes. So this is like,
there's no food today, by the way.
This is our 3rd sporadic meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, did I call you yesterday?
It was really random. He asked me if he can do an interview with me. I'm like, are you trying to apply for a job?
Yeah.
I was a little confused.
It was kind of like that, yeah.
And then I was like, well, maybe he just wants food.
That was the hidden agenda. Yeah, because okay, so let's get into your story because it really connects with food. We're both foodies. Mm-hmm. She's a bigger foodie than I am. Probably by far, which is saying a lot because I like food, specifically ice cream. Okay, so because I don't want to do any spoilers. Where do you feel like things started changing?
So it seems like every 10 years of my life something changes. Real crazy. I was adopted by a white guy. He took me to Houma, Louisiana, and we were raised there. My sister and I raised by this man that my mom married, and she wasn't around a lot. So my dad, he took care of us. And then we found out we had some Asian relatives, and then we had some Asian friends on the other side of the tracks. Anyways, he sent us to private school, got us a really great education, and then I think the turning point in my life was when he passed away. Kind of had to fend for myself, and he was like my best friend that I was talking to every single day, and I kind of didn't know where to go in life. And when I was in college, they told me I was never going to have kids, and after my dad passed away, popped one out.
Wow.
And and that was kind of where my life began, I think. with my son the second time around. I was maybe like, I can't remember when I had him, but probably about 24, 25 years old. And my dad passed away in February. I was pregnant. Hurricane Katrina came, and while I was pregnant, I was like running from the hurricane. Actually, I ran to the hurricane because I didn't watch the news. I ended up in Mississippi, in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, an hour north of Biloxi. So I actually sat through the real Hurricane Katrina while I was pregnant. And yeah, you see trees and benches fly across. You thought those casinos were scary. I thought the benches and the trees flying across the back of the lake was really scary. I got out, no issues with my car. The car next to me completely demolished all the houses in the area. So I kind of lucked out.
Big time.
Big time. I got out and went to Atlanta, went to Florida. News came on, hey, you guys can come back to New Orleans, which was where I was at that time. Anyways, I get back and they're guns ablazing, need your ID, whatever. And because I was pregnant, I could smell the city. It smelled like sewage.
Yeah.
So, so then I was like, well, can't live here. So my condo was untouched, got a little rain in, and that was it. So I sold it and just up and moved to Florida with maybe 3 outfits because I was going to Mississippi for a weekend barbecue. Anyways, moved to Florida with just my car and the little bit of clothes that I had and the money in the bank, and pretty much like cleaned it out. So with that being said, I started out with not very much. Got there and I found a restaurant about 11 o'clock at night, and crazy thing, across the way somebody pays for my bill, and I'm like, what the heck? And I look up and it's my aunt I hadn't seen in like years.
Wow.
And she goes, what are you doing here? I was like, I don't know. She goes, where are you staying? I don't know. I don't have a home. I don't have anything. I just kind of up and came over here. And she gave me one of her rooms and I stayed with her for a little while. And at that time, she was a broker for Century 21. And she's like, well, you got a job? I was like, yeah, I was working for a Fortune 500 company. They transferred everything over, but when they transferred me, I didn't like my boss guy or whatever it was. So I started looking for another job, but I stayed on because of the insurance. Had the baby, and then left completely from the job. And then a couple weeks later, got offered a job at a title company. I took it, and within like 8 months' time, they're like, hey, do you want your own title company? I'm like,
wow.
Really? This other woman that's working over here has been here for like 15 years. You didn't offer her one. They're like, they offered it to me because I did my homework,
Right.
studied and everything. Anyways, got my own title company, got into a niche market. I was the only human, apparently, in Orlando or Florida that could close a deal in Vietnamese. I was able to translate every single contract into Vietnamese. And so investors from California, New York, everybody in Florida, and that was when the real estate market was booming.
Mm-hmm.
Title company, I was closing 20 to 30 deals a month from the title company, and then I was training the Century 21 agents, different classes and stuff. So like I got all their business. All the business over here. I had my mortgage license, so all the mortgage brokers were sending me business.
Talented.
And so, yeah, I was making 6 figures. And then I became a single mom. And I went a little nuts. I guess that postpartum and single mom and everything. So I actually left. I was making 6 figures. And then I went and found me a stinging restaurant in Houston, Texas. And that's why I'm here. I had it under another name. Had some issues with old partners, dropped them, switched over, changed it to Cajun Stop, and I became a well-known chef. And then 9-10 years later, got pregnant again. The doctor was wrong back in 1999. And I had set up a full, complete franchise. So I went from being homeless twice while I was in Orlando after Katrina. When I came over and I left everything behind, you know, I had a lot of money in the bank account. But of course, if anybody's ever been in the restaurant business, it drains you.
Quickly.
And then with lawsuits and other things, I ended up with like zero and no home.
So
And
broke and no house.
broke and no house. Well, I was making 6 figures, a house, car, everything very great. And you know, sometimes your partners do things that you don't want them to do. Anyways, moving all past that. Here, broke no home, lived in 8 apartments in
Wow.
9 years. I ended up 11 homes in less than 10 years. This last house, I've been there 4 years, 3 or 4 years, and that's the longest I've stayed in a place.
Wow.
That's only because, you know, I lived in an apartment here, lived in an apartment there, car broke into. I was trying to find the right place for my kid. And
Safe and
yeah. But my son, again, pregnant, he was kind of my motivation to do everything that I'm doing. I was working so hard. But I became a pretty well-known chef in Houston. And then when I got pregnant with the second baby, I was like, I had a couple basketball players call me while in April, I was due in May. And they're like, hey, I want a couple franchises up in Dallas. One guy wanted 2, one guy wanted 1, and I'm like, oh, cool, call me in June. And then when I had the baby, I sat there and played with the baby. I was like, I think I want to stay home and play with this kid. And so I talked to my husband, and I said, you know, what do you think we should do? Restaurant was taking easily 90 to 100 hours a week. And then I was doing a little real estate on the side just for the heck of it. And my real estate was actually paying for my restaurant bills. I was making way more money in real estate paying for the restaurant bills. But the restaurant was still making money. The reason why I was paying for the bills is because I set it up to be a franchise. You got to pay franchise fees, attorneys, and all that stuff. So it was positive income, you know. And I was pretty well known. With all that being said, I was like, well, let me just talk to my broker and see if there's something I can do that will allow for me not to have to run clients all the time. And I took up training, sold both of my restaurants, opened up a second concept for the buyers that's still open now, and switched over to 100% real estate. And I just asked to recruit and train. And he was like, well, okay, we'll get you like 20, 30 agents. You'll be happy. I'm at like 130.
You're at 130 agents.
130 agents that I've recruited in, and I personally train and oversee them.
You're not the broker.
I'm not the broker.
But you have 130.
I have 130 agents I oversee. I check their contracts. I train them. I train them on how to be like me. Before we even got here, I've already talked to like maybe 4 agents this morning.
Wow.
Last night after 9, I counted my text messages. I think it was 10 agents after 9 that I was just answering. But I'm pretty, what's that word? Efficient? I get right to the point. I don't visit.
Cut the crap. What's the problem?
I don't
How do we fix
visit.
it?
What's the question? Yeah, answer.
Right.
And then I'm here. Pretty happy. Checks nowadays are just bonus checks.
Yeah.
I go out, I get to have fun. A lot of people, it's like, why don't you open up your own brokerage? Well, I've had my own business for 10 years. I got stuck behind, you know, you got liabilities, you got agents that go rogue, you got problems and issues. So with me, anytime there is a problem, an issue, 99% of the time I can help my agent fix it. But if I can't, I just hand it over to the broker.
Right.
And I don't have
That's
to
amazing.
go to the office.
Wow.
So that's all.
So one of the things that I want to break through, just very slightly, is I want everyone watching this video to realize that, to not just see I was successful, but you had to go through pain. And that seems to be a reoccurring thing with every successful person, be it Oprah or Mark Cuban, basically any person you can think of. They have to go through a lot of struggle.
You'll make me
and
cry.
I'm trying not to. And that I'm not gonna dig on the struggles because as always, there's always a lot more to the story. Um, but you have to go through stuff. One, to be successful, and two, you have to work really, really hard.
Yeah.
And I think there's going to be a very, very small select people that just hear, I did well, and they have no clue how big that iceberg is and how much that pain ran down and the staying up late at night. Because if you didn't catch that, she said I was 100 hours at the restaurant.
So,
right?
if you want to know about struggles, I'll run through them real quick. Aside from losing
Do I
my
need to get some
dad-
tissue?
No,
I didn't bring any.
You don't have to get any tissue,
Okay.
but after Katrina, I really was just homeless. Like, I didn't have a place to go, and I was living in just a guest bedroom at my aunt's house, which I bought my first house when I was 18, so I've always had my own place, and 5, 6, 7 years later, I'm like, here I am, nothing is mine.
Right.
And then becoming a single mom, I can tell you at one point, let me tell you, when depression hits you, it's like there's nothing that can clear that up. I was depressed for 2 years after I had my son. And every day it was like a freaking struggle. I cried every single day. And I couldn't control it. Like, I couldn't control it. And I thought, like, the world just hated me. And when I came to Houston, I started up the restaurant. A lot of people was like, you're going to fail, you're going to fail, you're going to fail. And I'm like, all I could see is this little boy that would come and hug me every single time I was crying. And I was like, I can't fail. Anyways, my customers, I went to the restaurant, they knew. They'd come in, I'd be sleeping on the bench, one employee coming out or whatever it was. There was a point in time where the restaurant wasn't making enough money. But I felt so bad for my employees that I couldn't cut their hours. I was like, they need to pay the bills. I actually borrowed money from, and it's crazy, as many people as I knew, and with many people that had the money that they had, it is hard to find money. Yeah. And it was weird because it was the most random people that helped me. And so they helped me just keep the restaurant open. They knew what I was going through, and they had faith in me, and it just made me work harder. So kept the doors open. I don't know if I told you, but my restaurant employees, they're all convicts. I believed in giving people second chances.
Wow.
So with that, I had convicts that were stealing from me, convicts that would fight in front of me. But I can tell you, till this day, there is quite a few people. I mean, they worked in the hospitality industry. It's high turnover. People go restaurant to restaurant, restaurant to restaurant. But when people worked for me, the people that worked for me, they stayed with me. They stayed 5, 6, 7, 8 years is my longest employee.
Wow.
And I mean, she still calls me. I have several of them. They still all call me. I had one of them send me a picture yesterday. And, they even thanked me for being the mean, crazy one that was always yelling at them, because I actually cared.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I had to borrow money to keep, even though there wasn't the business there at the time, I would still find the money so that way I could keep them, let them have their hours so I can help them pay their bills. And I was barely getting through my credit was shot. And I pretty much, I had nothing. I was in the red, in the really, really, really red. But I smiled every day. My employees, the ones that work really long, they know I'd drive up in the morning, I'd cry in my car, get out, and then I'd walk in like nothing was happening. It's something you had to do. And that attitude and that positivity that I forced myself to have every single day is actually what made me really, really popular. People weren't used to coming into restaurants and getting greeted by the owner and, hey sweetie, how are you doing? Hey honey, what's up? Whatever. I'd pat them on their back. I'd have all the CEOs with the oil and gas industry coming in, eating po' boys, couldn't remember their name, knew what they wanted to eat. And I greeted them the same way. I taught my employees to greet them all the same way. And it became a standard in Houston. I can tell you that when I first came to Houston, people were not that friendly. They were really feisty, but everybody's like, why is she so successful? I was just, I wanted to make great food, and I wanted to just be happy and be pleasant with everybody. And nobody ever knew I had issues. They just knew I was sleepy when I was sleeping on the bench. Right. My son slept on a little cot on the floor all the way in the back of the restaurant. The health department came and said, you can't have a kid sleeping back here, but it's just, I didn't have anywhere. Right. And I still have customers to this day that remember my kids sleeping under the counter at like 2 or 3 in the morning when I was trying to test out the hours to see what would work. So, homeless, moving apartment to apartment, not being able to get qualified for places, whatever it was, I've lost everything and I've recovered, and I've lost everything and I recovered again, and hopefully I got it right this time and I'm not going to lose everything. But it's just, I became a very successful restaurateur in Houston, and I gave it up so that way I could spend time with my family now. Mm-hmm. Now I have 130 agents. I'm very, I get to the point, I train them, I do everything that I need to do with them, and most of them are pretty happy. They're very productive. I get people that graduate in less than 30 days out of their training. Some people take a little bit longer, whatever it is, but I'm always there for them whenever they need me, and I understand how it's like to be new, so I'm always on a budget. Mm-hmm. I always tell everybody I'm broke. They're like, you just close that big deal and you're broke. I was like, yeah, but it's once you've lost everything, you realize, you gotta count all your blessings. Yeah. So when people ask me, what is it I look forward to every day, it's hanging out with my kids, my dinner on the table, and my glass of wine at night.
Did you notice how she snuck food in there?
So, but that's my struggle,
right.
And that's like without all the crying.
Right. So it took struggle and persistence and persistence and persistence.
You have to. You can't just you can't just lay down when you get kicked down. You have to get back up, bruises and all. I think it's like working out, because I can't work out. Every time I go to work out, man, like aching here, aching there, I can't continue. But in life, it's kind of like that. You got to just keep on doing it, and it just gets better. Mm-hmm. And I learn from all my failures. I learn from all my mistakes. And my circle of friends, it's like here.
Yeah, real tight, real close. Because it's hard to feed a lot of people.
Yeah, and the thing is, my friends, they know me. They understand. If I'm in a bad mood, I'm in a bad mood. Mm-hmm. If I'm saying something terrible, well, deal with it, and that's
because they know you're hard.
Yeah. And my agents are getting to learn that. They're learning that I do care about them. Mm-hmm. I want to get right to the point. Sometimes I'm a little harsh. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Maybe we should sell tissue on my shows.
I don't know. I wasn't really sure what we're doing today. I really wasn't. And I thought maybe we're gonna have donuts or something.
We should have.
I'm just kidding. I'm actually going straight from here to go get
to another meeting with food. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
Every time I talk to her, I get so inspired, and I realize like I'm not doing enough.
You know what? You set up shop in here. No. I'd be like, do some stuff.
I wish I could turn the camera on so they could see the kitchen.
This kitchen is awesome.
It's pretty nice.
It is.
So we're in Tavola today at Perry Homes, the 65-foot community. The last video I did, I was in Woodridge Forest. Uh-huh. And the kitchen was nice. It was like a huge island, but it's nothing compared to
So this. Let me tell you my first impression of this. I drove in here, I was like, if there was one of these in my neighborhood, I'd take it, especially for the price. How much did you say this one's
This price after incentives is in the 360s.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
This house is like a mansion compared to mine.
Yeah.
Anyways.
It's low fives in every other community.
Yeah, I know because Woodson's is next to us, and I'm afraid to even walk into a place like this. So
Just come by this one.
it's too far.
It's too far.
And it doesn't have service on the way here.
Okay, so who are you with now?
I'm with Texas United Realty.
Okay. And do you sell properties? What would you like to tell your viewers to, if you want to bless me with business, this is what I do?
Commercial real estate. I love doing commercial real estate because I like to work with all the serious folks, and I like to take listings.
Okay. I will put her information below. And do you have any last thoughts or comments?
Do you have any last thoughts?
I always have last thoughts and comments. They usually end up being about food, though.
What's your favorite kind of taco?
My favorite kind of, recently it's been the brisket taco.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel bad because I feel like if it's not a corn tortilla, that it's not authentic, but I only get it with flour.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's the Tex-Mex part.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Do you know that I've owned a tamale restaurant?
No, I didn't.
That made
That iceberg,
Mexican
remember?
tacos.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Anyways,
So now I'm
that
gonna
was
ask
really
you to make
random,
some,
but
nope, I'm gonna ask you to make me some tamales now.
I can make tamales. That was like the worst. I thought Cajun food was hard. Man, let me tell you about tamales. The hours of cooking the meat and then rolling the stuff in. Yeah.
I wonder
And-
how many people right now are like, yes, girl.
I made crawfish tamales. I took my crawfish etouffee, I mixed it up, and then I managed to make crawfish tamales. I figured out how to put seafood into tamales and make them taste good.
Wow, tastes better.
Taste better.
Tastes better.
I don't know.
Well, I appreciate everybody for watching. Again, my name is Presley. I'm with Perry Homes. And see, I told you, first take, the best take. If you ever do an interview with me, it's just going to be sit down, let's talk. Because that's really what it is. It's a conversation. It's not really an interview. I am going to drop down. We're going to do one house after this. And I'm going to show you one of the inventory homes for this week. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Lisa, thank you so much for the interview. It was a lot of fun. But for everybody who made it this far, I want you to send me a text message for the first 3 people who text me I won to my cell phone, 832-657-5958. You'll win a special gift. July 23rd is our grand opening for Perry Homes in Tavola. We just opened a beautiful model home. Come check us out. It'll be from 12 to 2 p.m. and it'll be catered by Papa Do's Seafood. Again, thanks everybody for watching. We really appreciate it. Check us out and let's get back to the video. If you have any questions, give me a call. I'll put my information below and I'll put Miss Lisa's information below. And see you next Friday.
Peace.
Peace.